your Feel Good Breakfast Show Expresso on S3, and we now live in a world where not only the jobs around us are changing, but the interview process for them as well. With Zoom interviews and new formats of resumes taking preference, it can be a little bit difficult to know where to start. We are joined by recruiting expert Clarissa Olivier to guide us through all of this. Clarissa, it's so great to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
The one joy, Clarissa, thank you so much for being here this early as well, but I know you've got to get out there before anyone else if you want to get that job.
Yes.
So the one joy of Zoom is you can't smell my very cheesy breath now, as delicious as that food was, but it's the way. It's become the way. It allows us to save a lot of time, make connections in other countries if we are going after that job. We've got to assume that Zoom, and I use that as a broad term for video engagement, is here to stay.
Yes, it definitely is. I think we need to adapt to a changing business environment, especially with everything basically happening on an online platform. So yes, it is more or less the same as face-to-face. So I think for an introduction interview, a first screening interview, it's definitely an option. But I still like the personal touch of a face-to-face sitting with a cup of coffee and...
But it means you can squeeze in 10 job interviews in a day, which is wonderful from a company's perspective and vice versa.
Screening process definitely helps a lot as to booking interviews into slots where people need to come in and it's just a screening interview. So
is it still, sorry, just added to that, is it still a first impressions?
Yes, yes. Definitely.
What can people do differently to make themselves stand out in a Zoom interview? Should they have the right lighting, quiet background, perhaps still dress up?
Well, let's just do the top.
Have pants on just in case.
Yeah, we've had situations where candidates, it looks like they're in their pajamas. So yes, dress up, look the part, and any background noises, I would definitely say, make sure there's no distractions. It is still a professional business meeting, so I would say present as you would going to a face-to-face interview.
Always treat it like a pitch.
Yeah.
Like you're pitching a product, you're selling something,
yes.
you know?
Yeah, well, you're selling yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
I absolutely love that.
When you put your resume together, and I mean, you as a recruiter, you've seen this side to the resumes that come across your desk. What do you wish people knew? And what can they do differently from how they already do their resumes?
Okay, so a resume is, for me, a first impression. Before even the screening starts and all of that, that's your first impression. That's what I see of you first. So I think people need to understand you apply for a resume, needs to apply for the position. So keep it short, keep it sweet. Not 5 pages, 6 pages.
Concise.
Yes, just containing the right information. And then people use a lot of colors and things like that. I just keep it simple.
Black and white?
Yes, just simple. And I think maybe a photo would be nice, so that we can see. Yeah, makes a personal connection, yes.
How does the cover letter come into this equation? Is it still as important? Because I kind of see it as a way of, you can kind of give a bit of personality in that covering letter and kind of speak to who you are without it kind of making your CV an emotional thing. Because people do need to get a sense of who you are before that begins. How does that fit in?
I think cover letters has reached their expiry date.
Really?
Yes. So I personally think that with the online platforms, you usually now have a small little box that you can just describe yourself a bit. So keep it to a small paragraph, nothing too much, just the important things that we need to know.
I think it's worth going through that exercise so you know that for yourself.
Yes.
So you know what your goal is, you know what you're about.
Yes, definitely. We don't have time to read a whole page with every CV that we receive. So at the end of the day, you're writing it, but no one really reads it.
I can see your shoulders just sinking like on the 9th letter. Okay.
Yeah, no, we don't read it all the time. So keep it to just a small paragraph about the points that we would like to know about you, I think.
So would you say when you curate that little paragraph that you're going to do, if you're going through the automated process of submitting your CV, should they be answering what would be in the job description when they are looking for it, or how should they curate that little description?
I think keep it, have some personal aspects to it, like your skills and your expertise, but definitely focus it on the job that you are applying for. So that gives me a bit of an impression, okay, you've actually read the job description. You are not just applying for every job that comes on.
For sure.
Yeah.
Copy-pasting your little
Yes.
paragraph into the box.
Copy-paste.
Because the desperation at the moment is driving that. You're going to look
Most
for every
definitely.
job that you possibly
Yes.
can. And there's nothing wrong with that, because you might inadvertently discover your calling, which is
Yes.
great. So much of this, I would imagine, rests on that X factor, those moments, your ability in the moment.
Yes.
Do you have any tips to leave us with in terms of what's made or broken an interview? What are those kind of magical moments that a person can look to in that space?
When going for an interview.
Yeah.
Well, face-to-face interviews, I would say always be presentable. As we said, it's still first impressions. And I would say do research. Make sure you understand the company, the vision, the mission, the culture, all of that, so that you can answer questions and also ask relevant questions when sitting there. And I think the break would be salaries as first questions. People walk in and the first question they ask is salary.
Gen Z.
So, you know, focus on more of the growth of the company and what you can bring to the table to help the company grow.
Grow together.
Yes.
I love that.
I love that.
Thank you, Clarissa.
Thank you.
I love this. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you so
joining
much
us
for having me.
today. And hopefully for you, you were able to learn something new, you know, whether it is just personalizing that little description when you submit your resume, you know, online, or if you are about to head into a Zoom interview for the very first time. We really hope that the tips that Clarissa gave you helps you to succeed in securing that job.